just last night. And
we're live.
We are live.
Great.
Hi, everyone. Carmen Disco here. Welcome to another edition of the UIA TV Education Series. We are live on YouTube. I have a co-host today. Mr. Warren Tuttle is not here as the usual host. I have with me Mr. Matt Nuncio. Matt, what's going on, my friend?
I'm doing well, man. Happy National Inventors Day.
Yeah, man. Is that great? It's made for us.
So, yes, it's an important day. We're celebrating together.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's crazy how these days come around. You know, there's so much information. National Inventors Day. I was trying to put together some posts and some different things. There's just so much to cover. You know, I know that you've always got some cool stuff happening on social media. What do you do for National Inventors Day?
So far, nothing. Probably cocktails later. How's that?
I thought you invented some crazy game that you were going to put out. Well, listen, man, I am going to turn the controls over to you. I know you got an awesome guest today. We got a couple guests that are going to come on, and you just take it away.
Sure. Hey, Adrian, how you doing today?
hey, great to hear you. Great to see you, Matt. And thanks to Carmine, and thanks for being here on this momentous day. Yes, National Inventors Day.
Yeah, and you're quite the prolific inventor yourself, so it's an honor to have you. And obviously a great club leader. You've done it several times over, so we'd love to hear the ins and outs and slings and arrows of your adventures.
Well, I'm looking forward to sharing as much as we can and seeing how much more we can motivate people to get their products going.
Sure, and we have George will be joining us hopefully soon. We've had some technical errors, so we apologize to anyone who signed on a few minutes ago and had to wait a little bit, but we're here now, so let's get this moving. Adrian, you want to just, in a nutshell, tell us what do you think is the main focus of a good inventors club?
Motivating people, being the spark plug that fires them up and gets them to get going. A lot of people have some great ideas and they just need some inspirations, and seeing and meeting other fellow neighbors that got it going and became success is one of the best ways to motivate them.
And how did you start this journey of getting so heavily involved in inventors clubs?
Well, I've had a product development business of my own since 1985 and was independently coaching people as it was, and it became evident that a lot of people were getting scammed by some of the companies that were giving them boilerplate information at ridiculous prices. I mean, I met people that got grants on grandma's house so they can buy this generic information, was fill in the blank with their name, and some guy at the back of it claims he's a patent agent. You've got freedom to operate, and none of it was valid. And it was upsetting seeing this actually a couple times a year. And there was a very small social group, some guys meeting on a card table once a month. And I got involved with that and realized we got to turn this into something more useful. That was back in 2005 in San Diego.
Yeah, so you, like I see it a lot too, I work with this inventors group. They gave me this PDF with a drawing and they charged me 12 grand, but they're filing for my protection.
Well, it's
and they'll file on anything too. The patent could be completely worthless. I've seen this countless and countless times.
Right. They're not objective about it all. They believe your idea is going to make a huge thing, and they're happy to help you with that. And no, I've seen them actually take drawings out of issued patents and use that as the drawings they put in the sell sheet that they're going to tell you, you should go use this drawing to help promote your idea. It's that blatantly corrupt. I have helped people actually retrieve some of their monies from an invention submission company because I, in fact, discovered the drawing they were given was right off the patent site.
Well, I guess their model is the gold rush. We'll sell them the picks and shovels, not really worry about the ultimate outcome. Oh, George, you've come to join us. Thank you.
We made it. Thank you. I've entered Zoom land. So appreciate that.
Be careful. It's really hot behind you. If you think back, it's going to be a problem for all of us.
Yeah, I particularly like that picture. It says it all about kettle pizza. So.
Well, as a descendant of Italians, you've won my heart. That's for sure.
When we can when people contact us and did contact us for a long time and said that they've never had better pizza and they were, from all around the world, that's quite a compliment, especially we sold quite a few of these in Italy. And that was quite a compliment too. So thank you for that.
Whether it's true or not, you should always follow it up with you also got death threats from Domino's and Pizza Hut.
We got a lot of calls too about whether people could cook a frozen pizza in there. And I always had to say to them, why? Why would you want to cook? That's all I would say to them. I said,
You should tell them that you have a great boiling recipe if you like boiled pizza, right? But I was just talking to Adrian about how he got involved in inventing and inventing clubs, and where it really stemmed from. And I'd like to ask you the same question. How did you get into inventing clubs?
A long time ago with my first product, mosquito mitt it was, I really, at the time, didn't know. This was in the mid-90s. And I didn't even know that the New England area had a club or the clubs even existed.
Mm-hmm.
Everything was very early on, even with the internet. You couldn't search the patent office for patents. So it took a while until I discovered at the time, the Inventors Association of New England, run by Bob Hosline for many years.
Whose tagline was "Go Sox."
Yeah. Yeah. It was I didn't know, and sometimes still inventors to this day, they stumble upon clubs because the clubs were membership, very small budgets, couldn't really advertise their availability. And like anything else, even trying a product to get it out there, unless people know about it, they can't come and seek help.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been a member of probably 15 years and took over as president in the fall. I told Bob that his record will stand. He'll definitely be the Cal Ripken of the New England group because he did it for 20 years.
Mm.
And I don't know if I assured him that I won't be doing it that long as he did, but he did a great job. And and I'm sure Adrian and other group presidents have the same difficulty, is that how do we get our message out there to the people who need it most? It's like even anybody else. Some of our, I don't want to say even competitors, but slick marketing campaigns usually grab people's attention first.
Mm-hmm.
That's where they gravitate through, and they get stuck there until sometimes it's too long.
Mm-hmm.
And when they find us, we hear the stories that they've spent a good deal of money and not really gotten anything for it.
So many of these guys will charge ridiculous numbers. We're not talking hundreds, but thousands, sometimes tens of thousands, for information you can get in your first meeting at an Inventors Club.
Absolutely correct.
Right.
Absolutely correct.
Or at the UIA, or our members, it's been $40 for I don't know how long. When Al and I would get to speak at the group while we were members, Bob would always give us a free membership for the following year. So you're absolutely right. It's been getting past that, getting to would-be inventors before they have other people's hand in their pocket taking their money out before they get anything for it, is a challenge for all the groups, I imagine, around the country.
Yeah, it is sort of scary what I see out there, and there's a lot of people who join these groups and they pay for a lot of education, and then all of a sudden it becomes the blind leading the blind, where they're supposedly educating people below them with no experience of themselves or no success. They're never been gainfully employed in the inventing business.
Yeah, it's what I get a lot. I know about Adrian a lot, is that when people do find us, they are very thankful. Mm-hmm. They said, boy, am I glad I found you. They've sit in on one meeting, sometimes even before becoming a member, and then join and said, gee, I've been looking around for a year, been bouncing around. I've had this product. Some have gone as far as maybe get a prototype and then don't know what to do with it, or they get stuck on a question about the patent process. And very thankful that they found us. And it's usually just by chance. It's not by, they didn't go searching. They might.
Well, that leads me to something very important. As you know, it's very important for the UIA as a nonprofit and that's educating and advocating. We want to make everyone aware that these clubs exist. And as you know, and you've been helping, we're building this map.
Yes.
Perhaps you want to talk a little bit about that.
I will. Another member, Lexa Gandolfo, I met in September 2019 down at in Washington at the patent office. We're at a conference, and we've been working together on some products together, and came up with an idea to have a centrally located map of clubs that are located all over the country. Lexa did a lot of work updating information and emails and phone numbers and current club leaders. And now it's available through the UIA website. And we were trying to get it so that people didn't feel like they were lost out there, that when they kind of see it in the graphic of the map of the United States, realize that there are a lot of very fine and established clubs that are there to help people for some for nominal fees, others like us. I think ours has been $40 for forever. And we'd all like to, I don't know about Adrian, but I'd like to craft the, we changed it from Inventors Association of New England, because I always thought that made it sound like you had to be an inventor to join. I think that put people off. So we now call it Invent New England. And we're going to work on getting sponsors so our membership can be free. And we take it, the UIA has had an excellent model, and it's an excellent one to model it off of having sponsors who are going to do the right thing by would-be inventors also. So they'll be vetted properly. So we're not going to have anybody on the site that's going to, let's say, be from the dark side on our map and things like that. So it's very important, because unless we draw, I feel, a definitive line between the good guys and the bad guys, and so that we can start, for one, promoting what we do. And I think even with Adrian, we do it pretty well, and expose the other side for really doing it purely for the money without, really helping.
I mean, couldn't you just get a mob together of a bunch of guys from Boston to go and stop these guys from doing what they're doing?
There's a very
You could, and I'm sure I could get some from Long Island, New York to join also.
Yes, we can team up as long as we don't talk sports.
Yeah, right.
Go ahead, Adrian.
There's a very clearly definitive fact. It's ones that are 501s and the ones that aren't, as to the ones that have got their own interests at heart and the ones that are for the public good. It's very simple. At least that's the way I've seen it. That map we're talking about, I don't know which iteration this is of this, but over the decades, we've seen a couple of different of lists and maps created. And if we create one that's of just 501s that are really altruistic or really there for the public good, that would be awesome. Because yeah, we're plagued right now, of course, with the changes in society. All the wannabes and the one-trick guys that think now they can coach everybody are coming out and charging $250 an hour, right, to hear what we'll tell them for free in an hour if they just come and dial us in. And I hear what you're saying. And my first club there in San Diego for 13 years, we started at $5 a head if they'd show up at the door physically, which we did. Raised it to 10, but we gave them a sandwich, chips, cookies, and 2 great speakers. It was an amazing evening. And it was a great crowd, a lot of camaraderie and feeling involved. And this time around here in South Carolina, I've changed the playing field. I've entirely dropped any membership dues at all and went straight for the sponsors. I made it very clear with a few of the most key players in town, the ones that were going to benefit the most from promoting their services, that, hey, we're going to create a forum here where people who are eventually going to be looking for your services will be able to find you. So they've jumped aboard, and we've got enough money this year already to aim for the contest. That's really what we raised most of the monies for, is for the end of the year contest, goes into the prize pot.
Great.
I
What
can,
are-
I
what
can
are
attest to that with Adrian with the, when we started to have our meetings, we had our meetings for the longest time at MIT in Cambridge. Bob was able to secure a room for us for our meetings, which was great, but it got increasingly difficult to get into Boston at night, find parking around MIT, to keep doing that. And I told Bob if I was going to do this, I was going to move our meetings to the UMass Lowell location in Haverhill, Mass, the new building there, the Innovation Hub. And I can tell you the first few meetings I had food there, and word must have traveled fast. Because we had, we were like people there at 6:30. You might have thought I bought everybody a car on the way in there for just a small sandwich and a piece of pizza. But it made the difference because people then, they could have a little something to eat. We had the speaker, parking was free. It was right across the street from the building. And we were getting more members showing up on our monthly meetings until, March of 2020. And but fortunately with Zoom, that's been able for me and other people. I can sit in on your meeting. I can sit in on a meeting that's in Texas and things like that now that I couldn't do before, and share ideas and listen to what some of the other leaders who have been doing it longer than I have do it. How do you make the best value for your members?
Yeah, we should focus, because obviously some of the people who are watching this have never been to an Inventors Club. So let's discuss, what to expect when you walk in the door of an Inventors Club. What are you going to walk away with that day? Let's try to boil it down so people, will want to go.
Adrian, I'll defer to you in experience.
Other than pizza and sandwiches, by the way.
No. It's a format. Actually, there's an agenda, and it's standard for every month, so people do know what to expect and how it's going to be presented. We open up. Actually, we do a pledge of allegiance still, but it's very quick to get people to introduce themselves, and if they've had any experiences they want to share right up front, we like them to share that. Hopefully, they've accomplished either a patent or a prototype or something in marketing. Just introducing themselves and the things that they're working on, sort of what is their passion. Then we dive into, and by the way, of course, we thank our sponsors and all that good stuff. But then we dive into speakers of the topic of the month. After they've presented in Q&As, we have a time to talk about local opportunities and resources that are in town, or contests that are going on. The thing I'm actually the proudest of, I call Who Needs Who. And that is just open up the floor and have people ask whatever profession they're looking for, and we'll refer to somebody we've worked with. They are probably in our group already, and they'll stand by their reputation, and we stand by it too because we've worked with them. I believe in the way Ben Franklin used to do that. I think he called them juntas. And they get together and they beat up on whoever it was that did a crappy job, but try to really promote, gosh, Jim, you really aced that last one. So same thing with the Inventors Club. We try to be 100% honest and real with people, and just get them the resource and the connections they need to get to that next inflection point, and not burden them up with a whole package of things they might never even use.
Is there anything that you guys do to prevent the ambulance chasing patent attorney or development guy or any of that sort of stuff?
Yeah, I'll just finish this and I'll wrap it up.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
Our process on this is, again, as Franklin liked to say, the three-time rule. So we're expecting a service provider to actually show up and be quiet for the first 3 meetings, and to realize how the group's run and what's involved, and then actually be introduced by somebody else that refers them as well. And then we'll allow them to do, when they need, who needs who. What follows that is, all right, if anybody has a service they would like to announce, please do so. And that's when anybody who's, again, been vetted or been to the group 3 times, we give them the floor. So that's one way to filter.
Great idea.
It's fantastic.
I don't know if I
George,
could get anybody from the Boston area to keep quiet for 3 meetings. You know. We follow it. I kept using Bob's method, which is, Adrian, like yours, is that we go around the room and ask people, you know, first how they found us. We'd like to know how they found us as first-time members, what they need, what they're looking for. Because they're there for a reason. They're there. They came. They took the time to come to the building and come there with. And some members, you know, are working on items that they might need. They've gone to the next level and now they need help, like Adrian said. So that's important. Kind of the same structure, so they know what to expect every time. We try to get rotate speakers with a lot of different experience and different disciplines about developing a product. One of the things that we also tried to do, where we are, Adrian, now with sponsors and things like that, people who are going to speak at my group, I went and met with them personally.
Oh, yeah.
To talk with them first. I didn't want to be the first time that I was hearing what they had to say.
No.
When they showed up at the meeting. So I went, and wherever they were, I went to, you know, speak with them. I wanted to meet them, you know, pre-COVID, face to face, so I could understand what they were going to talk about, whether it was going to be something that fit our group. And I told them, then I would determine whether that, you know, I would want them for a speaker. And it turned out perfect that way, because I could get a sense of how their demeanor were, how their presentation was going to be. So I knew what to expect, so the group wasn't surprised or anything like that. And that's how it worked for me. Zoom, we're doing it the same way. Some of the people that I've had, you know, the good part of 2020 were people that we had previously, so I knew them already. But I've been contacted by many people now, different disciplines, whether they be patent attorneys, prototypers, marketing people, wanting to, let's say, have access to our platform. A lot of people stayed home in 2020 and dusted off maybe ideas that they had.
Mhm.
They had time. They maybe came across some resources and said, I'm going to work on this product now. And we'll circle back and start looking for assistance. And that's where I've seen some of the new members that have come on have just that. Say, I have had time. I didn't work on this product before. I want to work on it now. And they started looking around more for assistance.
Mhm.
Wow. I mean, that's a fantastic way to sort of vet everybody and get it through. What do you do when it's somebody who's just sort of insisting and really shouldn't be there? I mean, do you have any ways of, you know?
I can tell you, they never make 3 times like so.
Yeah, it's the nature of things settle naturally. I'm also very fortunate from having work experience to have met people, and so we've got a working relationship, and then I approach them about talking. Or on the other hand, people here in the community have been suggesting somebody. They go, hey, I know this great inventor. He's here locally, had this great success with his widget. Would you like him to speak to your group? It's like, yeah, exactly. That's exactly what we want. So when you get a quality referral like that, a quick discussion is probably enough to figure out if they're really going to just try to spam everybody and steal the show, if it's their infomercial now, or if you can actually benefit from what they have to share.
Do you guys, sure. Is there anything that you guys do to encourage inventors that, you know, may be stifling? Because oftentimes I've spoken to inventor clubs all over the place, and I'll come one year and I'll come back another year. They're still there in this stagnant, and then sometimes I come back a second or a third year and they still really haven't progressed any. I do feel like it's an important part of an inventors club to sort of get a rally going and push these people and give them the encouragement and not just the resources. I mean, do you guys have anything that you typically do for that, or do you pull them aside, or what do you do?
Go ahead, George. You take the lead.
they definitely want to hear from people who have been through the process. And I've been through it many times. So they want to hear the story. They want to hear the bad parts too. And I try to emphasize the bad parts of what we do. What we do is not for everyone. My first patent attorney told me that the first 2 minutes he talked to me. He said, look, he said, this is not for the faint of heart. It's probably going to cost you a lot of money and you're going to be very disappointed. I was with my godfather and he got up and he said, well, are you still going to do this after what he just told you? And I said, yeah, I'm still going to do this. People need to hear that and to know what they're getting into, because it will consume you. It will take up time that you maybe were doing something else with. And you want to encourage people, but you don't want to give them false hope. And I think that's very important.
Yes, yes. There's definitely a lot of cults of personality that are trolling this industry, that are just purely surviving on this sparkle of hope and preying on these people to just continue to pay them.
It's the art form of participating a fraud, to be able to prey on people's when they're at a very vulnerable state. And they're very good at it. And unfortunately, we are kind of like an unregulated industry, even though that we are a large industry and account for a lot of innovation and economy of this country. We are, I often thought, and I could be wrong at this, but I'm old enough to remember when you went to the movie theater and you had that warning at the end from the FBI about copying this movie and things like that. And I'm going, gee, it's wonderful for the FBI to go after somebody with copywriting, but how about if they take up patents the same way they go after somebody with copywriting? I'm going, what did I miss here? And people who get started early on always worry about telling you their idea because someone's going to steal it. And I try to tell them, I said, they're going to wait till you make money before they try to steal it. They're not going to steal you. They're going to let you do everything. If they start seeing you making money, and then that's when the time that
I often tell people two things. One is if you don't show, you're not going to sell. So don't show, don't sell. And the other thing I remind them is, even like when things go to China, they go, well, I don't want them to steal my idea. I go, they're not going to put all of their resources into marketing your idea. The black market is for Gucci handbags and Ray-Ban sunglasses, not, your widget.
Right. And I know with Adrian, the same thing. That seems to be, I don't want to say a misconception, but part of the education process is you have to let people know the downside. You have to let people know downside. The dark side, as I call it, I'm never going to tell them the downside. They're never going to tell them the downside.
Well, I actually, I try to be more than 100% real with them. They need to have a very honest opinion because they fall in love with their own ideas. They're not objective about it. And I actually take pride now in saying I've actually coached over 1,500 wannabe inventors and succeeded in stopping 1,200 of them from, in fact, moving forwards with their idea. I've only helped 300 of them develop their product where it's demonstrable, of which only about 15, well, I've helped 15 of those companies launch. There was more than 30 of them that became successful products. But to be honest, right up front, instead of actually trying to take advantage of their hopes and dreams and prey on them, is the big deciding factor in this whole industry right now. At what stage do you say your idea is worth developing? There is a chance for it. And so, I've formulated some score sheets and ways to try to be objective with it, and I share those for free up front. My process is for people to come in and within 1 hour for free, I will try to figure out where they're at with their product idea, where do they think they can go with it, and what steps would it have to take? They would have to take to get there. And then they've also got a sheet with them I've gone through to show them a number of things they have to figure out. And one of those is a product evaluation matrix. So I try to very upfront show them a systemized approach. There is a method to the madness. And if you do things step by step with good advice and tools, you can avoid getting ripped off. But There
I-
again, the other side of this is people have gone into hundreds of thousands of dollars because they didn't talk to anybody but the product development company that was working on their product. And now they're wondering why the thing isn't going anywhere, but their bank accounts are empty. It's a
Yeah.
get rich quick, slow scheme for a lot of people.
Oftentimes I find that people have an idea, and sometimes it may actually be a good idea, but there is absolutely no channel of distribution for that idea.
Ah,
So I feel like you need to start in reverse, figure out where's your channel of distribution and work it backwards. And if there's no channel of distribution, it's an insane task to think that you're going to create a new channel of distribution in the world. And it's going to take an insane amount of money to do so, if it ever happens at all.
One of the things that I like to stress on for people, it goes a little bit, Adrian, I love the idea about, the structure and everything. One of the things I try to touch on to people is how what they're about to do is going to affect their family,
oh,
because it's often overlooked because you get blind with, a lot of people have told you this thing that you just brought to them is really nice. And boy, I would buy one of those. So your head gets big and your eyes get big and things like that. But you can't become blind to what's actually taken from your family, which is time and some sign money that you didn't have to do this. So I really try to get a sense of why someone wants to do what they're going to do.
Money doesn't fix it all too. I think a lot of people
No.
think if they raise enough money, they'll get it. But I like to remind them that every summer there's some movie with a gigantic budget that tanks so incredibly horribly that there's no, even movie studios with all their resources, they can't nail
Right.
the formula.
Right. The family part of it is critical because a lot of people get stopped at certainly a majority of them get stopped because they run out of resources. They don't necessarily run out of perseverance and grit, but they run out of money. But what they try to do is push that forward, because I did it. Try to push that forward no matter what. And time, you'll never get back time. So time that I didn't have with my family or my children when they were young
exactly.
is something you can't measure. But I try to always say, I asked, do you have a family? Do you have young kids? Are you single? If you're single, it's a different story. If you shoot a hole in your own boat, well, that's okay. You shoot a hole in the boat of your family, other people are affected. And I think that's very important. And if it's an easy way to do it, if you're going to a company and they never bring up the fact about how it's going to affect your family or you, down to your soul, that they're in it for themselves, not in it to help you.
Or if they tell you it in a very disingenuous way. I've said, they all have their little speech, I'm sure.
Right.
Thanks for framing it that way, George. That's exactly right. And that is a part of the process. Of course, in the very first few moments, it's to get some acquaintance with them, their background, what do they do for a living, just so you can communicate at their level, empathize with them, and realize doing your own analysis a little bit as to where they're coming from is a great way to perceive it. And later, I asked them, it is a SWOT analysis, looking at this, and that's when I help them decide, are you really going to have the time and resources to start a business, or is this something you want to launch as a license agreement? And it's a very interesting point for them to realize there's a distinction there, and it's important to be made first. I asked, it's almost, not almost, it is a question, is what is your exit strategy? I'm asking this before they even started the project, because a lot of the answer right there determines what paths are best suited for them.
I remember the look on my wife's face. I was fortunate enough to be able to speak at the patent office many years ago about being an independent inventor. And when I was first asked, I thought the woman was, pulling my leg. Kathy Couric from worked for the patent office at the time tapped me on the shoulder. I was at an event. He said, "Oh, you should tell your story. Join us at the patent office to tell your story." And I always said, "Okay." I said, "I'm nobody. Nobody wants to hear my story." Until she called me a couple of months later and asked me to come speak. And she said, "I need a headshot and a bio." Okay, great. I hung up the phone. I was in South Carolina with my family. I had to ask my buddy, I said, "What the hell's a headshot? What does that mean?" I didn't even know what that was at the time. But a statistic that read it many times and pretty accurate, that independent inventors that are awarded a patent only have a 2% chance of ever profiting from it. I saw the color of my wife's face go out in the audience. She had turned white and asked me afterwards if I could have picked anything more difficult to do than something with a 2% success rate. And I said, it picked me, but that is what we're up against. And the quicker that somebody knows that of what you're up against trying to do this is, the better off that you will be. Your path might change then. You might go right into, let me get somebody's made and get it onto some professionals that might be able to do this.
Gentlemen, we're getting some questions. I know we only have about 15 minutes, so I want to make sure that we do address our audience as well. One question we have here is, how far along do you need to be before you engage with an NDA?
Adrian?
Unfortunately, the patent laws changed a while back, and it's not it's first inventor to file now, which is really demanding that you cover your communications right up front and early. Somebody can be unscrupulous, tell you your idea sucks, and as soon as you leave the office, they're entering the information in the computer, and they're the first to file. So you have to have that NDA signed now very early, or you yourself, in fact, go ahead and file the provisional or the PTC before you go out and talk about it. The world has changed. It wasn't that way when we started doing this, but you don't have a grace period anymore either. So you really do have to play it straight to keep the rights to your idea. And so
NDAs will keep the honest people honest. They won't keep the people who are, don't care or anything like that. I agree with Adrian. That puts everybody at ease, especially the other party who has it. So I agree. The earlier the better. And anybody who doesn't want to sign one, then it's up to you whether you want to go forward with it or not. Because I've been on webinars like this where people say, I don't sign NDAs. Nobody's going to have to worry about that until you're selling a lot of these. But if you want to establish a relationship with somebody right off the bat, and they like you to sign an NDA, then I have them forward it to me and I sign one, and then that's off the table. That's less of the angst right off the table.
You got to be clear about it, though. The NDA has to be legit. It has to be dated and has to be specific to what it is this NDA is about. I can't sign a generic NDA that says we're talking about something. I talk about 100 things all a day sometimes.
I've gotten NDAs saying I can't work in the toy business.
Yeah, you just can't sign that. So I hear you.
We have some more questions too, gentlemen. I'm sorry to cut things short, but I need to get everyone's questions. I mean, do Inventor Clubs help with all types of inventions?
Yeah,
I would say yes, but
I've met people that have got absolutely earth-changing ideas to change democracy down to ma and pa, bent some metal and painted it black, threw it in a box, and it's an RV product they get a royalty stream on. So yeah, anything and everything, all levels.
From consumer goods to industrial goods to
I like.
We get a lot of questions about apps. I don't know if Adrian does. We get a lot of questions about apps and things like that, and if we don't have somebody in the group, we usually can try to help somebody find somebody to do that we know that's going to be, on the right side of this and things like that. So that's why we try to stress and even more get the information about try to get to us first.
Mm-hmm. Another question we have is, do Inventor Clubs help people procure licenses?
Not directly, no, but we can again refer you to people that we know have had success in those areas. So, but directly. The clubs will not, but they can inform you on the process of how it's done and show you how to find good people that will support you on that end.
Usually, 3-4 times a year, we'll have speakers that's what they do. And we always try to point that out to people that, yes, we had a speaker on. I do a lot of work with Rita Crompton, the inventor lady, and she has been established. And and it's known to us. So you want to refer, as Adrian, you want to refer someone that you've worked with before. So an indirect way. And again, it's one of the resources of the group.
Do Inventor Clubs work with each other? Do you guys communicate with each other, or would you guys just meet right now?
No, there's been times, especially in the past few years ago, we formed together to join in Washington to have a voice. There have been times in history that we have, and many of us have been associated by friendships and are invited to speak to each other's groups, which I'm delighted to as asked for. And it's especially great when we can see some other great clubs like Calvin there in Chicago, and it's a wonderful treat to be able to speak to another club.
We have been asked by some of our members if when we go back to having in-person meetings, are we still going to be able to do the Zoom part of it to even expand it more, to have more people be able to, if they can't make a meeting one night, they still want to be able to join in. Maybe they had something else going on. They still want this technology in the future to be able to be part of a meeting, to be part of a pitch session that they have. I've been, been great. I sat in on meetings on other parts of the country that I would not have been. And I think that's where, and I know you have other questions, but I think that's where the problem has been for our groups. When the say the dark side looks at us, we're all siloed. We've never been joined with a common voice of what the problems are and what the solutions are to people getting taken advantage of, because we haven't had one voice. We've always been separate with that.
We were so close. We were so close. Let's now there's a vacuum. Needs to be done right.
Yeah, but you kind of made me think of something that actually we discussed the other day when I was talking to you. So, in these trying times that we're in, and people are attending these meetings by Zoom, how are we protecting people's interests on such a broad platform? It's not like you're at the meeting and you can pull somebody aside and be like, hey, what do you think of this? Now you're a giant forum. Do you find benefits or detriments or some of each and some of others to using this platform?
With the laws of B, you're making a public disclosure if you're making a public disclosure. So we try to inform ahead of time. Don't be calling out any details of your ideas unless you have filed the IP for it. It's protected because once they become public with it, it starts that clock. That's a factor. So otherwise, I will interrupt them if they start talking. And I can sense that, oops, this is too deep. Stop. Wait a minute. This is not the time. Go back 50,000 feet. What's the general idea? You got to be able to express this in a few seconds anyway. So learn how to do that and tell us from a little higher perspective, not the detailed details.
So Adrian, you would say that there's definitely a distinction between an Inventor Club meeting where you're going for resources or treating it like a pitch panel, right? Some people probably come on and they think that they're pitching their product to everybody.
No, that's what we got the contest for at the end of the year. Now we do offer a period of time, again, at the beginning of the meeting, to have anybody has announcements. And sometimes they have just released something and they're proud about that. And we give them a couple minutes just to say, look at what I've achieved. And it's been an award or the patent issued or something like that. But sometimes people will use that time just to introduce themselves. And I ask them to introduce yourself. And I have a laundry list of items on my agenda sheet. And I say, just please introduce yourself and what's your passion? What level are you at? And they say, I'm Bob Jones. I'm working on an automotive product and I got a proof of concept. Great. That's great first little introduction. That way people in the group that are birds of a feather will flock to that interest. And
I kind of the same with Adrian. When we were all meeting every other month, we'd meet at Bob's house and Bob would record the meetings, and we would have people come there that want to do a pitch, and they do it in the privacy of Bob's house. And then everybody got 15 minutes, and we'd all sign a non-disclosure right there, put our names down, and 25 years, never had a problem with anybody. Zoom presents a little different situation to have closed pitch sessions, and I encourage anybody who wants to do that is to contact me directly.
Yeah.
And we'll do it offline, and then I can take them through it before they say anything, and try to put them on the right path from there. But we don't let anybody discuss anything that's not been, they haven't filed a provisional patent or anything like that, or a protection.
Yeah.
Certainly it's education, and that's part of the education. You don't broadcast everything out in public.
Loose lip sync ships. We had our members that would come to our meetings when we have live meetings. If they were first time attendee, we have them actually sign a group NDA form that anything they're seeing belongs to the person that's presenting it. We also make the person who's presenting it very aware, this is a public forum. You are revealing it.
Right.
Be realistic and keeping it real.
Yeah, no doubt. Real quick, hey, Matt, I have a quick question for you guys. So both you guys, congratulate you for all you do for Inventors. If there's one thing you could tell each of you guys can tell or let an inventor know, because what I find is when a new inventor approaches me, they're not really worried about their invention, how great it is, but they're very fearful on either intellectual property or someone stealing their idea. And you guys have addressed that, obviously. Is that something you guys see for first-time visitors?
I see first time, it's the excitement. As I said, they found like-minded people that might be able to help them. The other thing is passion. They have a lot of passion, but they're I don't want to say frightened at the same time, because they've heard a lot of the horror stories, but they've seen a lot of success. Well, they've seen successes, but they don't realize for every one of those successes, there's probably about 20,000 people that didn't make it. And that's what I try to make sure that they know of that part of it.
A lot of people seem to have an end goal of just getting onto Shark Tank, right?
Quick, eat me alive.
It's it certainly has cast, let's say it certainly cast, when you are able to make it that far, at least from what I've seen, it's entertainment. It's entertainment. They're not going to put in all the great shows or the people who do the perfect pitches and things like that. They want to see you sweat. They want to see you shake a little bit, because it's entertainment. I don't think it's true business. I mean, if Adrian, you've done enough pitches and I've done enough pitches where you're going in, you're fully prepared for everything like that, and you get ready to pitch a product to a big company and things like that. And they come in and say, hey, you know what? Matt's running late. He's not going to be able to see you today, but can you come back tomorrow? And you have a plane leaving in 3 hours and things like that. And you said, oh yeah, what are you going to say? He said, well, yeah, I'll come back when he's. That's the part of it that people, you have to make them aware that it's not all like TV. It's not like TV at all. So.
That is definitely true. People think it's like American Idol. They're just going to get up there, they're going to show their item, they're going to do the next big thing. And that's TV also. That's just where we're sold by Hollywood.
Yeah, it's not. Like I said, my first patent attorney right out the bat says, not for the faint of heart. And you really, that's the best. They say experience is the best education. Mm-hmm. And how many times inventors, you could tell them that that stove's hot, but they always might go like, well, let me see for myself if that's really hot.
I think a good inventor club will help you hone your craft, right? And I think a lot of inventors need to realize I know no inventor that had one idea ever, and that was the big one. You have to become a serial inventor. You have to have a certain mind, and you have to learn. and adapt that, what you've learned, to your next product and learn your market. And I get a lot of inventors who've got, one idea is a new boiler. The other one's a toy. This one's a way for a BB gun to shoot 3 different colors. Like it's just like they're all over the place. And I'm like, you could have a very hard time finding success because you're not paying attention to your market and your consumer. You just any idea that comes into your head, you're pouring money into.
I've had plumbers bring me gardening products that weren't very, I said, don't you have plumbing problems that you'd like to create something for, the business that you're in, or electrician? I said,
well,
boy,
the plumber might have had something, some sort of bad joke. I'm not even gonna do it.
That's not the deciding factor. I mean, I've met professionals that have come up with gardening gadgets and people that just, they found the problem, they realized they needed a solution and they figured one out. So I have found that it's not always somebody in their own vertical profession that's creating a product in that niche. It's across, typically, yes, because that's where their experience lies and the necessity comes from, but not all the time. I've met people that were auto mechanics that were considering new electronic toys and devices. There's creative people have creative minds.
I guess my point being is that you need to study the industry too. Just
Yes.
having random ideas. Oftentimes they're reinventing something that's been done, or it's so off trend, or it's something that's just too expensive to make. Like if you're getting into like housewares or toys, you really have to know what's at retail, because you just can't, walk in with a random idea.
Yeah. Well, I've experienced this as well as on the higher tech side for medical devices, especially researching the market takes even more serious note to determine what the regulatory agencies are going to say, and the FDA and all those other issues that are going to come to play. And you have to become an expert at all of that if you're going to have any chance of even winning the pitch to get started, nonetheless succeeding in getting it to market. Yes, you have to become the expert in whatever that field or that niche or that product is that you hope to make, that you hope to commercialize.
and do not, if you get any questions, I know we're running, but don't quit your job and thinking that the idea that you just had is going to pay for your children's college education. Because if you do that, your kids are unlikely to go to college at all because you've spent their money early on and it's gone. So don't quit your job. Again, I go back to the family part of it because I know how it's affected me personally. And when I came up with my first product, it took me 6 years to develop. And, I should have known the road I was going to be on, because my patent, my first patent, utility patent, I was very proud of, was awarded on April 1st, 2003. And I met some people at the patent office when I went there to speak. I said, could you waited one day to issue my patent rather than on April Fool's Day? Rather than that, and it was John Calvert. He goes, well, we issue patents on Tuesday, and that happened to be the Tuesday it was. So it hasn't been lost on me that my first patent was on April Fool's Day. And don't quit your job. Don't quit your day job or things like that, unless you have made 100 times the money that you could possibly lose at that, because get that squared away first, because you will regret it. The odds are against you, you will regret it. So I urge everybody, there's a lot of experience in inventor groups around the country and through the UIA and things like that. And there's many people experience like it that can save people a lot of pain and suffering early on.
Well, gentlemen, I think we're coming to a close here. Of course, it's a great honor to talk to you guys. It always is nice to speak to both of you, and it's amazing what you've done. And the world needs more inventor clubs and more support and resources that are open to everybody and not pay to play. But so we thank you. We thank you very much for everything that you guys have done over a long period of time.
Thank you
Also,
for
happy National Inventors Day again. It's one of
yes, I wanted to put my I had a little logo my sister sent to me, and now I'm probably going to get an email very shortly that I didn't put up the National Inventors Day logo she sent to me early on. That. So, but I want to thank now you, Matt, and Carmine for, and certainly Warren with the UIA, who's been champion of the independent inventors for a long time. And I think with us getting better organized, having a stronger voice nationally, and at the patent office, I hope it'll bring us more to the forefront, so we can get our name and the good things that we do for people every day.
Awesome. All right.
I'm along there, right there with you, and you guys taking on the new board, and we look forward to you to leading UIA in the future to bring all these great resources to the people that need it, and that'll help the whole economy, and rising waters lift all boats. So let's get people encouraged to get things going, and as the Vulcans used to say, I hope you recall.
I can't do that. I can't. I have to go like this.
Yeah. Okay.
There's an invention for you right there.
Yeah, I gotta do something like that. I can't do that. I think it must be a New England thing, because I can't do that at all.
You do something else with the other finger.
Yeah, that we don't have any problem with.
All right, guys. Listen, man, thank you so much. For all you listeners out there, please, if you like to get in touch with George or Adrian, please going out to Inventors of New England, do a search, go onto the UIA website. You could do a search utilizing the map that we have. It's an awesome map that shows all the clubs within our country. And also we have the South Carolina Inventors Forum going out to either one of those. George and Adrian have done an awesome job. And I thank you guys so much for your time today. This has been super, super helpful. And I know we're going to get a lot of info, a lot of views on it. If we get some more questions, I'll forward them over to you guys. For my co-host, Mr. Matt Nuncia, thanks a lot, Matt. And we will catch you next Thursday on UIA TV. You all take care.